In my 51 years, I have never seen a player lie so much, cry so much, be given so many all-star caliber players to give him help, get away with so much non-calls such as traveling, moving screens, missed technicals for yelling and talking down to the refs, and last but not least, the daily self-nominations of being the greatest of all time. It's funny because LeBron's the face of the league and WNBA ratings are now higher than the NBA. They were at their highest ever when the greatest ever did play, yup, when Mr. Michael Jordan played. Isn't it true when you play basketball you want to wear the best shoes at Foot Locker, Hibbett, Champs, or wherever you buy your kicks? Then why is the whole world wearing Air Jordans? You never hear anyone say, dude, the new colorway of LeBron 3s come out Saturday and they are dope. I don't think I've ever heard anybody I know speak about any LeBron line of shoes. For those of you who actually remember NBA games first always used to air on CBS or NBC, then came TBS, TNT, and the NBA channel. The people that actually saw the greatness and out of the world athleticism of Michael Jordan doing something jaw-dropping every game to where everyone was outside trying to do whatever move he did that had everybody talking. Either hang time layups, gravity-defying slam dunks, or one of his unmatchable fadeaways. Michael Jordan was what someone said one time, that Michael Jordan was just basketball perfection, a basketball god. There's a 6-0 in the finals with no game 7s, 2 separate three-peats. I mean, who else won 3 championships, then retired, come back 2 years later, and win three more championships? From 1991 to 1998, Michael Jordan never lost more than 2 games in a row. That's just crazy. Jordan's the only player to win the scoring title and Defensive Player of the Year in the same year. That means he was the best offensive player and defensive player in the entire league. That's unheard of. Here's the most critical point. Michael Jordan's game he came to the NBA with was the first of its kind. He wore number 23. He made it very popular. He made black sneakers very fashionable. And let's not forget the oversized and longer shorts. Everything Michael Jordan touched, wore, or liked, everybody in the world wanted the same things. Even wearing the knee pad just below the kneecap and the oversized wristband up on the forearm, no farther up past your elbow. Okay, I named some things Jordan brought that changed the game, which great players tend to do. So what the fuck has LeBron James brought to the game? Nothing. I can't think of one thing he added except flopping. I also explained why it was so exciting to watch a Chicago Bulls game with Michael Jordan. The dunks, fadeaways, hang time layups, and gravity-defying slam dunks. What the fuck is so exciting about watching LeBron? It's not exciting. It's fucking boring, like watching water boil. LeBron's game consists of shooting threes, no defensive effort, flopping on the ground, and yelling and complaining to the refs every fucking play. Let me remind everyone, Michael Jordan won 3 championships with a bullshit center named Bill Cartwright. But you got this overgrown, lame-ass bitch crying that he needs help. LeBron's not even in my top 5 of all time. LeBron isn't better than Steph Curry, and especially won't ever be better than Kobe Bryant, R.I.P. Enough said. Mark my words, the Lakers will not ever win another championship with LeBron on the Lakers team. Fuck LeBron.
Interpretation of the Jordan rules are this. There are 3 areas on the floor the Pistons need to be concerned about. He's sensational when he dribbles to his right. He's only great when he goes left. They will force him left as much as possible from the top of the circle area.
I was covering the team at the time. My eyes were telling me, some Jordan rules going on here. So let me go write a story about this. And I would always get this. What are you talking about? There's no Jordan rules. We just play him tough, physical, like anybody else.
When Michael Jordan has the ball on the foul line extended or wing area, he is so good, too good at going baseline, coming back up under the basket, getting fouls on the big people. So instead, the Pistons will force him to come to the middle of the floor off the dribble, trying to get help from the next defender.
You'd say, what about the Jordan rules? And they say, what Jordan rules? And they'd say, what about this defense you're playing on? We're not playing anything special. And they all laughed and they'd wink and then they'd move on.
They also need to be concerned about pick and rolls. They'll trap everyone. And while Michael's doing his thing, just kind of creating, they'll run the next guy at him to double team him no matter who it is. But keep this in mind, Mark, they don't always use the Jordan rules.
Oh, they didn't preach it. They didn't brag about it. But it was on display.
Jordan to the foul line, room in the lane. Isaiah grabs him and fouls him.
The Jordan rules were for the Pistons to know about, not for anybody else to know about.
The Jordan rules, is that something you guys made up?
Jordan rules were, to stop him, period, because nobody else could beat you on that ball club.
They have been called a dirty ball club, and I can see why. I don't know. You have to ask my man Matt Dobick on that one if it was any Jordan rules, and him and Chuck Daly not around, so I don't think it was any Jordan rules.
Isolation play for Jordan, and Isaiah Thomas ties him up.
How high can this man fly? Michael Jordan is soaring, and the Chicago Bulls are going right with him. Jordan is averaging 38 points a game in the first 2 playoff rounds. But now, Superman faces his toughest test. Game 1 will tell if Detroit's road has been too easy, while the Bulls come off the biggest win in the history of their franchise.
You know, the whole Pistons Jordan rules thing was frustrating as a beat writer because I was covering the team at the time. And I would always get this: what are you talking about? There's no Jordan rules. We're just playing tough, physical, like anybody else. So I'm like, all right, cool.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome. I'm Brent Musburger along with Bill Raftery. Let's get right to it. The man was an ex-coach. How do you stop Michael Jordan?
There's not much you can do with him. You have to make him go east to west in the fast break. He's good on the perimeter, but he's great when he penetrates.
At certain times, teams found themselves watching and in awe of him, and maybe bashful about, being physical with him.
I was in the Detroit Pistons locker room before the game, and it's very obvious they would like to wind this thing up tonight. And while I was down there, Chuck Daly unveiled his final instructions for the players, and I wrote them down for you.
Chuck Daly devised it, and his coaches, and it probably is one of the great things that made Chuck Daly the great coach that he was in everyone's eyes.
7th game intensity, he said. Let's play like this is the 7th game. Control the boards, energy. Nothing new for the bad boys. He says intimidate and dominate. And then on the bottom in big capital letters it says follow the Jordan rules. And I said, what are the Jordan rules? They said simply, when he goes to the bathroom, we all go with him. Let's go back to that.
There were no secrets. I mean, everybody knew what the rules were, and that was to put him on the floor when he came to the basket and try to keep him from the crowd-pleasing, super fantastic, flamboyant plays that he was capable of making.
Michael Jordan, who has done miracle things on the court, trying to carry his team on his shoulders against a great defensive team, maybe one of the greatest defensive teams in recent years in the NBA. Jordan has had his marvelous moments, but lately he has been stymied by the Detroit Pistons.
They had figured out how to contain Michael Jordan. They had finally figured out, to some degree, how to contain Michael Jordan.
There is Michael Jordan and Bill Cartwright. The Pistons are in blue, the Bulls are in white.
Chicago's ball with John Paxson still showing effects of that sprained ankle.
Let's see the movement now. They tried to go down inside to get either Grant or Pittman off early.
Here's Grant. Lane Beer made him change his shot. Here comes Isaiah Thomas chugging up court.
So what you had to do is you really had to look at the games. And the Jordan rules were pretty simple. And there was a couple versions of them. But one, Joe Dumars would guard Michael Jordan, and he would sometimes be doubled by Dennis Rodman, or Joe Dumars would try to funnel him left into John Sally or to James Edwards or whatever big guy was there. And the idea, the concept was to get Jordan to pass out or to take difficult shots.
Jordan, good pick from Pippen on the pick and roll, and then a good defensive effort from James Edwards. Chased down by Rodman.
Down low, Jordan coming around a screen, gets him into the paint. Lambeer to help out, and great Detroit defense.
Michael Jordan. Jordan short with a shot. Get back.
The second part of the Jordan rules is that you send Joe Dumars somewhere else, all of a sudden you got 6'7", 6'8" Dennis Rodman on you, and Dennis Rodman was a physical player, and he would be hitting Jordan, hitting him, moving his feet, and Jordan didn't like that.
Do it again.
And your call, Rodman now on Michael Jordan.
And he steps right inside him. Missed the first shot against Rodman.
With Michael Jordan as the point guard, you can't help out as much with traps. That's the problem.
Coming inside, offensive foul is the call.
So you had Joe Dumars, who probably was more compact and just stand in your face and guarding you in front of you somewhere. And now you have Dennis Rodman, who's trying to get inside of your head, tapping you, being physical, throwing that elbow. So he got two different looks. And so when Jordan got accustomed to Rodman, here comes Joe again, and now you have the other Jordan rules where you kind of funnel him into traffic.
The Detroit Pistons have so many things to think about. I made a list for you. Defense, rebounds, Jordan, 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 Jordan.
Another part of the Jordan rules was very, very simple. Get the ball to whoever Michael was guarding. Make him work on the other end. If he had to guard Joe, get shots for Joe. If he had to guard Isaiah, God help him.
2 seconds, 1 second. Isaiah at the bucket.
The other thing about the Jordan rules is you had to be physical with him. If Jordan got loose, he was going to get hit, and he knew it.
Jordan left wing. Jordan to the foul line, room in the lane. Isaiah grabs him and fouls him.
Only way you were going to slow him down or get him to think about what he was doing, coming inside and jumping in the air, was to at least give him the thought that he could get hurt.
The thing about Jordan, which made him great, is he was able to take the pain, take the physical play, and still play his game. But it was a lot easier for Jordan to do this against other teams than it was for the Pistons. Because other teams said, well, we're going to do the Jordan rules too. But they didn't have the defensive players to pull it off like the Pistons did.
And so the Pistons in that way were able to at least get in his mind and cause him to think about, oh boy, where's Lambeer? Where's Mahorn? Where's Edwards? Where's Rodman? He could get hurt, he could get bumped, he could get knocked down at any time.
Good afternoon again, everyone. I'm Dick Stockton. We've had a day to think about this, and so is Chuck Daly. After Michael Jordan's 47 points, he decided he was going to go to the team, ask them, how should we defend Michael Jordan? The word is there was silence for a while, but then they came up with an idea. And the question, as I asked Hubie Brown, is how do you anticipate the Pistons playing the great Michael today?
Game 7 from the Palace. Piston ball. Wires 5 and 6. Back to Dumars. Jordan, good pick from Pippen on the pick and roll. And then a good defensive effort from James Edwards.
I mean, he's going to score on you no matter what kind of defense you put on him, because that's the kind of player he was. We just wanted to slow him down and try to double team him a lot and make other people beat us, opposed to letting Michael Jordan beat us.
And the Bulls wanted to get the ball to Jordan on the post. He was forced to come outside and get it.
Kicked out, and time has been called.
He would not pass the ball on time. He would exhaust every option in order to score himself first. And we knew that going in, so just shut him down and you got the game won.
Jordan comes to the baseline. Dumars stays with him. Now Jordan into the lane, can't get the roll. Dumars out, here's Thomas. Paxson's back. Thomas into him. Off the glass.
You play teams because if they got a superstar, if you can negate them and let somebody else beat you, that'd be great. If we felt that Bill Cartwright needed to score 40, then Bill Cartwright can score 40.
Cartwright. No call. Blocked by Isaiah Thomas. Here's Dumars.
He wouldn't give up. That's what I would say about Michael Jordan. He would not give up.
Isolation play for Jordan. And Isaiah Thomas ties him up.
Defensively, the Pistons are now pointing totally at Michael Jordan. They don't believe that any of the other 4 Bulls can hurt them at this point with this much time left.
If they didn't have the mental part, or that, we're too bullish to believe it's the end, they would have lost that series. They would have lost the game at the Palace. But they were just real bullheaded and stubborn and resolute about things. And that's why they won that series, despite, I thought Jordan had an excellent series then also.
On the ball.
No, there's the answer.
Now, we'll see here.
Thank you. Lambeer out. Thomas out.
Well, the Pistons have moved on, but you really got to feel for this man right here.
Well, Phil Jackson said yes, this will be considered a successful season for the Bulls. they went one game farther. For the Pistons, nothing but another world championship will do. And they, the Detroit Pistons, will meet the Portland Trail Blazers in the best of 7 beginning Tuesday night on CBS.
Those years that we beat those guys, I mean, he took a lot of abuse from us.
Didn't matter if it was Michael Jordan or if it was Craig Elo. I'd hit them all. It don't matter because you're the opposition. You're not my teammate.
I mean, they were our rules, and that's the rules the Detroit Pistons went by, how we're going to play Michael Jordan. And, you know, we kind of played it up a little bit, but that's just the way it was back then.
Until he learned how to involve his other players, he couldn't win, especially against us. Once he started learning that and gave up some control over his ball club to a degree, that's when they started winning. And we got old, that was part of it, but still you got to give him credit for recognizing that he couldn't do it himself.
When Jordan hit that big shot over Dennis Rodman, you kind of started thinking, okay, maybe this is the end.
And then he finally figured out, you know, he had to get a lot stronger, get his teammates more involved to beat us. And, you know, by that fourth year, we played them again, and, you know, they finally figured out how to beat us. They swept us.
I don't know why it didn't hold. I think guys just got older, they had different players in. It wasn't quite the group that really held him down before.
Every team has their little window of opportunity. We had ours. Could we have won that next year? Tough. They had the home court advantage, and we were getting older. There's no question about that. And you lose a little bit of mental edge at that point. You know, they were hungrier than we were, and Jordan was changing his game, involving his teammates a little bit more. Pippen was growing up. It became their time.
The league decided that they wanted to clean up the game, get rid of some of the physical contact, clear out the lanes so that the great players, the great athletes could drive to the basket. That was geared more to help Michael Jordan and the Bulls, and it was certainly the kind of legislation that did not help the Detroit Pistons.
Maybe because the way he was treated in the league, but he's carrying, you know, it's about who would you come see? Would you come see Rick Mahorn or would you come see Michael Jordan? He can fill the seats up.
So those were the rules. There were no secret about the rules. I mean, it was very obvious and very vivid for everybody who was watching. It was just that the Pistons were one of the teams that were willing to do it, where others may have backed away from it.
Jordan is fouled, going strong to the hoop and pays for it. Foul was on Edwards. That's 4 on James Edwards. And there's Mark Aguirre. Played his college basketball at DePaul. He and Isaiah Thomas and Magic Johnson are good friends. Aguirre and Isaiah.
That wasn't Michael Jordan out there. It was God disguised as Michael Jordan.
When you were a kid, who did you look up to?
You know, I love Michael Jordan. It's like he was like Black Jesus to me.
You know, you want to be fast like Isaiah, and you want to shoot like Bird, you know, rebound like Barkley, pass like Magic, be dominant like Shaq. But man, I wanted to be like Mike.
Had to go high to get it. Finds Paxson. Jordan drives again. Counted in the foul. Michael Jordan. How high can you? No good. Pippen the rebound. Back to Jordan down the lane. Whoa! Woo! Skirt dunk right over Sigma. How much?
Jones to inbound. It's the same setup. Hamilton off a screen. Michael. Jordan with 4 seconds. Fakes. Shoots. Oh, he did it again! Oh. He did it again! He did it again!
Jackson looks for, and there's a bounce pass to Jordan. Under he comes, slam dunk, and he threw that thing in, going to his left, put it back in his right hand, and
down. Under 4.5 minutes to go. Here's Jordan. Oh, yeah! There's the mustard shot by Michael. I thought he was going to pass it at the last moment, but Jordan.
Tremendous play, Pat. They set that up. They brought the defense out high. They brought it wide. They opened up.
Inside, quick pass, Michael. Blocked, but he's still counted. He's fouled.
MJ goes up in the air, hangs, readjusts.
Jordan gets the step on Day. Oh, beautiful reverse.
Super play by Michael. He's got 6.
And Gene, but Gene didn't stay with Jeff. And oh man!
I do believe we will see that.
Ruffin has it blocked by Longley. Jordan, what a play to Pippen.
My, what a pass by Jordan. A wraparound pass as he was facing the other.
Right into the hands of Wilkins. Michael Jordan around everybody.
Some
Off the board.
Some drive by Michael Jordan. The score is 99-83.
Detlef Shrimp finds Reggie Miller. Blocked away. What a play! Save by Jordan. Sensational play by Michael Jordan. Wow. Woo! My goodness, where did he come?
Caught his man in that time, and that sort of clogged things up. Jordan. Oh my.
Oh, that's what everybody's been waiting on. We'll have that one on replay. Okay, now watch.
Two of their top perimeter guns shooting blanks at the moment. Jordan. Look at that move. Get your highlight reels rolling. Number 23's in the house and has gone to work. 30 points.
Hurries it. 6 seconds. 5, 4. Pippen to Michael. 3, 2. Michael firing. You got it! Michael at the horn. He did it again. MJ knocks in a tie. 103.
They wants to post up down low. There, Mike. Look at this. Oh man! Michael with a hang time move. You thought he saw all his hang times? There was a new one. Man.
7-second disparity between the shot clock and the game clock. Jordan, yes, and it counts.
You know, it would have been better for Charles to foul him all the way than have.
Be a spectacular night for the Bulls as Jordan has come up with another steal.
MJ. Oh, he did it! Michael shakes the finger, but he finally got his dunk. Whoa! Almost had a pick. Ball tapped loose from Elo, and here comes Jordan. Behind the back, Pippen. What a play! What a play! Pippen was just going to be the trailer. He cleared out. Michael gave him a great pass. Layup, Scotty.
Half of the game against the Celtics Thursday. Jordan trying to fake Bird, can't do it. Hits the jumper, 63 points, and you're looking at an all-time record.
Oh, boy.
Michael Jordan.
Moncrief tried to get it away, but broken up by Daly, and gets it away to Jordan. Oh, showtime for Mr. Jordan, and we are tied at 102.
Michael fakes on Wilkins, backs him out ahead of the key with a scissor dribble, nearly lost it. Now takes it right side, cuts back left, down the lane.
Oh! Head up down. He came, the scissors dribble, he down the middle, he goes up high, power.
Jordan over the timeline into the forecourt, drives the middle, wham, with the right hand. And Jordan has decided to take this game into...
Rodman can't tip it in. Rebound O'Neal now. Stolen by Jordan from Hardaway. Picked him. Bluffs one at the line. They leave him open. Oh, the Bulls are up. Oh, baby. He left jock straps all over the hardwood down here.
Oh, but how he read that play to steal the pass, Brent, and then pump fake the ball as only Mike.
Here's Jordan for 3. Yes!
Over to Jordan for 3 more. Yes! 6 3-pointers for Michael Jordan.
And an absolutely spectacular performance from Michael Jordan, who has 35.
Outside Cheeks, ball tipped away by Jordan. It's loose to 3. Ahead to Jordan for the breakaway. And a foul on David Wingate. Wingate hustles on back to try to defend it. Michael just up over the... is on the floor for the Bulls, along with Michael Jordan. So inbounds the cart right to Jordan. Time winding down. Michael for three. Yeah! 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 Yes! 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 A winner! Unbelievable!
The help, and Bulls got it. To Michael. Yeah! And a foul! Oh!
Michael gets the ball back here to Pax. He gets going down the lane. Pax feeds him. He takes one dribble, and it's a power slam.
Wire acts of Jordan and Pippen. Truth goes too. They do it defensively. Michael Jordan with a takeoff and the crush.
Oh my! The free throw and has one more.
Comes Mike. Oh yes, here comes Mike. Oh, what a play! We said he was on the runway.
Taken down by Steve Johnson up to Michael Jordan. To the hole on Tyler. Dunks over Terry. Terry fouls him. It counts. Side to the left. One bounce dribble now to Jordan. Michael in from the left side. Jammed it right over Rollins.
Michael Jordan just went by everything. Livingston went down on the fake and up over Tree Rollins. 7-footer, boom, down. Spin. Finds Jordan. There it is. Rodman is on him, one-on-one. 5 seconds to go. Jordan off the glass. Yes!
Now this is a great move. Now watch going down in here how he sucks up the defense. There's your elevation.
Looks to bring it in. He comes in. It comes. Throws it away. The Bulls have it. Here comes Michael Jordan on the drive. 5 seconds. Jordan on the drive. Right of the lane. 18-footer. Yeah! 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 Yeah!
Jordan, crossover. He gave him the crossover. Then he shook him with the hop step, rise. Ugh. Oh, man, you just got posted.
Be the strongest right now, but he's certainly still up there as Jordan goes in for a dunk, and he jams it over J.B. Carroll, and that's what I'm talking about. When he dunks over the top of people, he went left.
Good job, Gerald Wilkins. Well, you just have to come. You just have to come.
2.5 seconds. Jordan again.
You just have to come.
Has done it again. Almost from
Armstrong right back. The Bulls can go up 14. Jordan past Petrovic.
Oh, yes, yes, yes. The last one was no, no, no.
Pippen gets it to Jordan. Michael
Challenges and slams. And it wasn't there. Michael in on top. Everybody, 49.
Detroit will calm you down. They'll work their plays. Steal. He kept it in bounds. Here it is again. Oh, yes! This is one for the book, UB. He's done a lot of great shots, but I've never seen this before from him.
Well, you see, it was an excellent save. Now, when he gets it back, you'll see him elevate, do a 360, and just toss it up.
Jordan, loose ball to Grant, ahead for Michael, into the front court, behind his back comes left wing, now down the lane, all the way for the two-hand slam, and the foul on Allen Ogg. That is vintage Jordan super stuff.
I'll tell you.
For 9. The look away to Livingston. Jordan. Oh, a spectacular move by Michael Jordan. That's 13 consecutive field goals.
Test. Oakley to Mercer. Mercer on the run. Oh, what a play. What a defensive play. A two-hand block, steal. Game, set, match. They're trying to foul. Watch this. Here comes Mercer on in. Michael not there, but...
Herb Williams with a follow-up. Blocked by Jordan. Cleared by Jordan. Here come the Bulls back looking for the lead. 3-on-1. Michael Jordan in for the right for the monster!
Block shot by Jordan a second ago. He took it all the way down. Scott Skiles waiting underneath the basket. Michael just spread-eagled almost right over the top of Skiles.
It's a pass stolen by Jordan. It's a 3-on-2 for the Bulls. Michael on the drive. In for the right for the jam. And a foul. Oh, man. Kelly Tripucka couldn't run out of the...
We're down to 5. Jordan putting moves on Russell. We're down to 2. Now to 1. Here's Jordan. Yes! It is all over. The Chicago Bulls have won at the buzzer in Game 1 of the best of 7 on the jump shot by Michael Jordan.
Jordan trying to shake off Starks. Oh, what a move by Jordan!
let's see that again. 100 times.
Zellers has Jordan. Jordan with 2 seconds to go, puts it up and scores at the buzzer. Michael Jordan has won it for Chicago. Michael Jordan hit the basket at the buzzer as a disconsolate Lenny Wilkins leaves the floor, and for the second time today, the visiting team.
Malone is doubled. They swat at it and steal it. Here comes Chicago. 17 seconds. 17 seconds from Game 7 or from championship number 6. Jordan. Open. Chicago with the lead. Timeout, Utah. 5.2 seconds left. Michael Jordan running on fumes.
Michael Jeffrey Jordan, the greatest NBA player to ever live, and it really is not even close. 6 NBA championships, 6 finals MVPs, 6 Game 6 finals wins, 6 rebounds per game while standing at a strong 6 foot 6 inches, donning the legendary 23 on his jersey. 2 + 3 = 6. The GOAT. Baphomet himself, immortalized in the most feared NBA player to ever live. The icon of greatness. Bear no illusions, petty mortals. Jordan was an otherworldly talent. His ability to go above and beyond only matched in a handful of other cases. Not only the most clutch and prolific offensive player in NBA history, but also just as effective on the defensive end. And defense is what wins championships. Your drive and aura being so powerful that your team is literally afraid to deliver a subpar performance. Not only the best, but also created a culture where his generals in war were also able to ascend to godlike status. Jordan's mental fortitude was unlike anything we have ever seen or will ever see again, which is why it's laughable and pathetic when these simple-minded fools make comparisons to the true GOAT. Comparisons that are so egregious and low IQ that I can't watch ESPN for 10 minutes without throwing up in my mouth. And for those peasants who have never really watched a full Michael Jordan playoff run, and please stop lying to yourself, you know who you are. In this video, I will break down step by step in the most simple terms possible why it really is not even close. I don't want this video to be about LeBron James, but the media has really given me no choice. As blasphemous as it is, people would have you believe that LeBron James is even in the discussion at all. They try to tear down Jordan's prolific legacy one brick at a time to build up their false idol. Not only will I methodically break down why Jordan is so far ahead of the pack, but I'm also going to illustrate why LeBron James is arguably not even on Mount Rushmore. Objectively, he's probably in the bottom half of the top 10 if you're just looking at it on paper. And the deeper you dig into the advanced analytics, the more clear it becomes. Michael Jeffrey Jordan was considered the best player in the league before he ever put on a championship ring. There were reputable sources saying he was the best player they'd ever seen when he was in college. 3 years at North Carolina, 88-13 with 1 championship. A 54% shooter with that same mid-range bag that he would later use to dominate the NBA. College basketball is far more competitive than people think, and Jordan winning at this level isn't something that should be understated. This was character development for a player like Michael Jordan, a place where he learned how to play in a system and respect his coach, something that LeBron James could have benefited from greatly. Michael Jeffrey Jordan's first few years in the league were very different. He was dropping 60 against Larry Bird's Celtics while playing with literal crackheads and plumbers. The Bulls were garbage before Jordan, and in his time during the 80s, he made every one-on-one situation look like a joke. But as I said, defense wins championships. The Detroit Pistons proved this, going back-to-back in the finals, during a time where the East was so unbelievably stacked it makes LeBron's time in the Midwest look like a cakewalk. A fact that seems to be lost on LeBron stands. The Pistons going back-to-back the way they did was a tall order considering the competition. The Pistons were the most violent defensive brick wall the league had ever seen. Jordan going through them in the Eastern playoffs is one of the greatest feats in sports history. They literally had special rules just for Michael Jordan, the Jordan rules. Push him to the wing, and if he goes up in the paint, put him on the floor. Very simple. Jordan had to get extremely creative and dig deep into his bag to score, all while Scottie Pippen was literally getting bullied like a kid in middle school. LeBron James never had to go through any wars like that on his way to the finals. The East was extremely garbage for all of his playoff runs, but he would still lose and choke against teams that had no business matching his physical potential. I watched every playoff game LeBron ever played while he was in the East. Indiana, Detroit, they were okay. Dwight Howard was making a little bit of noise in Orlando. Still nothing compared to how stacked the East was while Jordan was playing. Larry Bird's Celtics, Shaq and Penny's Magic, the Knicks' incredible defense, the Bad Boy Pistons, the Heat with Tim Hardaway and Alonzo Mourning, coached by Pat Riley, Charles Barkley, Reggie Miller, the Utah Jazz, who would have certainly gone back-to-back if the Bulls didn't exist. It goes on and on. LeBron James is physically a very good player, a major asset for any team on paper, but his bag is nowhere near as deep as Jordan's and his mentality is weak in comparison. This is the case for many players being thrown into this debate. Exceptions are Kobe Bryant and maybe Tim Duncan and a few others, rare players like Reggie Miller who weren't afraid of Jordan. The players that played with Kobe say the same things about him that Jordan's peers said about Jordan. They were simply just built different. There's an interview with Allen Iverson and two other players. All of them played against Jordan, Kobe, and LeBron. That's a very specific and rare window. They have a perspective that nobody else can have, and they all agree Jordan was the one. Even when you show LeBron stands the footage of Jordan dominating and 99% of his peers put their egos aside to give the respect that's due, they only see what they want to see, ignoring the obvious key notes that actually matter in the context of the debate. LeBron James has no mid-range game. This is a generalization, but they see 5 minutes of a montage where LeBron hits some mid-range shots and go, look, he does have a mid-range game with the enthusiasm of a 6-year-old. Bottom line, LeBron James shoots less than 35% outside of 3 feet, and it gets worse during pivotal fourth quarters. Michael is often in the 50s, Kobe is close to 50, Tim Duncan 50, Kareem 50, Bird 50. This is where I make my first point about Mount Rushmore. Putting LeBron James against Jordan has done nothing but make him look bad and diminish his otherwise impressive career. LeBron James is a dangerous offensive threat when going to the rim, especially in a league that plays subpar defense. LeBron has the physical advantage going into the paint, kind of like Shaq, but a different style. Shaq just did it better. Shaq was way more valuable as a player, and he fit into a system and played a role. As I said, most of LeBron's shot selections are 3 feet or less from the rim. This is one of the main reasons LeBron really needed to play in a strict system. Letting LeBron have his way on every team ruined his potential. He's not this high IQ leader that everyone thinks he is. Not like Jordan, who had the wit to understand his role, how it could evolve into a system that would give an average player big opportunities. LeBron could have had this in Miami, but he didn't have the right mentality. The second things weren't feeling right or his stats weren't looking good, he ran or tried to fire the coach. It was so bad that some people think LeBron threw against the Mavericks because Dwayne Wade was taking over and leading. Quote, if you want to have fun, play with LeBron. If you want to win, play with Kobe Bryant. Larry Bird. I don't think Miami was having fun playing with LeBron. He's not humble and he's not wise. 2 rings in Miami, one of them universally understood to be so lucky that even the dick-riding media avoids talking about it. LeBron choked and got saved so many times it's not even worth arguing the point. While LeBron failed to be the leader he thought he was in the fourth quarter of big games, Ray Allen, Kyrie Irving, and Dwayne Wade were the ones hitting the big shots. It's not about how many points you get, it's about when you get those points. Basketball is a game of rhythm and pace. Even big games are often on autopilot until those clutch moments present themselves. No one was better in the clutch than Michael Jordan. What do I consider to be clutch? The fourth quarter or the last 5 minutes of the fourth quarter in a playoff or finals match. If you're in a catch and shoot situation with the game on the line, I'm taking Larry Bird. If you have 10 seconds left and need someone to either clutch or make the right play, I'm taking Jordan. Kareem was the same way. You need a bucket with no time on the clock? Kareem had seasons when he was averaging 60 with ice in his veins. Deep hook shots with no chance of him choking. It might not always go in, but he's not missing because he's not that guy. The man has 6 rings. He was the all-time scoring leader through a defense-heavy era, and LeBron James, who was 3-20 in the finals and one of the least reliable fourth-quarter players in this debate, is ahead of Kareem? No, it's absolute insanity to make that argument. Kareem was a better player, a better winner, more efficient, more clutch, and a perfect asset for team chemistry. I wanted to build this up slowly, but I was actually getting angry writing this script. Number 1 is Michael Jeffrey Jordan. And, in a subjective order after Jordan, 2, Kobe Bryant, 3, Kareem, 4, Shaq, 5, Tim Duncan. And I don't think that's debatable. This guy is so painfully underrated and misunderstood. Magic Johnson is 6, and 7, here's where I'm not so sure. I think you could maybe argue LeBron for 7 if he wasn't such a lame personality that ruins teams. Bird was way more clutch and a better leader. I would personally take Bird, but you could create some hypothetical situation where LeBron would be a better choice. Bird would probably say LeBron, but it is arguably more subjective at this point. Then you got Hakeem, who was the hardest recorded matchup for Jordan. If you know, you know. I won't get into it. And the list goes on and on. Different people will have different orders depending on perspective. I really don't see how my 1 through 6 is debatable though. All of those players have more rings with comparable or less help. All of them were better teammates that filled a certain role and helped the system. They're simply just more likable as human beings. Not a single one of them has said, "I am the GOAT." Okay, I might lose some people here. This video is getting kind of long, but this is my opinion. Scottie Pippen. I'm gonna make an entire video about Pippen, but for now, I think I'm one of the 10 people who actually read Scottie Pippen's book. I went out and bought a hard copy, read it with my eyeballs. Scottie's perspective into the Bulls dynasty years was a very interesting read. Pippen was one of the best all-around players in the NBA. Jordan himself said Pippen was the best all-around player on the Bulls. A direct quote from the book, which I'm taking as fact unless Jordan himself refutes it. I've said Pippen was the 2nd best player in the league. Johnny Arnett actually mentioned this comment I left on one of his videos. He's basically saying that it's not true, kind of scoffing at it in reality. I agree that it's arguably a stretch to say that. There were better offensive players, but not really on the defensive end. The best all-around player doesn't have to mean the best player. Scottie had a crazy good year when Jordan retired. The Bulls likely would have got another ring if Jordan didn't come back. They went to the semifinals without Jordan, and Pippen was on fire. The team loved him. The Bulls organization was on point with getting the right people in the right places at the right time. I can see them picking one up at some point, even if Jordan didn't come back. And Pippen has 6 rings as one of the best players in the league at the time. So either way, I'd take Pippen's 22 points a game, 8 rebounds, and whatever assists, plus being one of the best defenders of all time, a high IQ role player who can run the triangle, over LeBron's fucking trash defense, drama, bad team chemistry, nervous in the 4th quarter when he's supposed to be the king. When Pippen got over his growing pains, he was ice cold confident. He did so much on the floor that doesn't show in the stats. He ran the Bulls' offense with laser precision. His flaws were magnified because he was in the shadow of Jordan. And people say with a straight face that Pippen's not even in the top 50. Clowns. LeBron James isn't even the best player in his own era. There is no universe where you take LeBron James over Steph Curry or Kevin Durant. Jordan himself alluded to the fact that Durant was a better option. But let's be really real right now. Steph Curry, who is one of the greatest shooters the league has ever seen, Steph's bag is so deep, his movement is so fucking cracked, the off-balance shots, the reads, the footwork, his value as a player in a team system is so far beyond what LeBron offers. He's not really a slack on defense either. Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love got that Cavs team past Curry, not LeBron. I can make a whole video about that, but, Kyrie is a much better player from an eye test perspective, but like LeBron, he kind of comes with drama and trash defense. unable to fit into a system the way a team needs. The one time he did fit into a system, they won a championship, but neither of them are the class act that Steph Curry is. KD going to Golden State is the only stain on Steph's legacy. Steph didn't chase rings, he built his kingdom brick by brick. You know, who was the real king in that era? This is the truth, seriously. I don't see a lot of people making this point, but this really trumps all the arguments in my opinion. People champion LeBron and put him high on these debates for one reason: the brand. LeBron James is the most popular player in the NBA, and while he still plays, it's financially beneficial for the NBA and the media to prop him up. LeBron's image was calculated and fabricated from day one. Jordan's legacy cast a massive shadow over the NBA when he retired. It took a sus Kobe and Shaq 3P and a false idol to fill the hole that Jordan left. Wearing Jordan's number was a marketing tactic done in bad taste, greed and disrespect from the puppet masters lurking in the shadows. When you're debating where players rank on the all-time list, you have to paint it a certain way. You can't just say, well, my guy did this and your guy did that. You have to imagine a situation where you try to build a team around that player. How would they react? How would they play? What pieces would go around them? Even if you just looked at the numbers and ignored LeBron's choking and team drama and trying to fire coaches, his bad passes and trash fourth quarters, stats favor Curry in every way. Advanced analytics have proven that Steph is like the end game for the NBA. Why do anything else when what he does is the most effective? Will it take the art and individuality out of the game? Yes. There will be no more specialists in the next generation after everybody copies Steph. Everyone will play the same way, spread out iso ball snipers with good footwork. The next generation will not copy LeBron, as his entire game is predicated on his physicality. Alright, part 2. The clutch gene. Michael Jeffrey Jordan is the greatest closer this game has ever seen. And it really is not even close. I could go through every clutch situation he's ever been in. I could show you the advanced analytics of his fourth quarters versus LeBron's. I could regurgitate the same standard stats that alone show how clutch Michael really was. But I'm writing this script off the top of my head. The earliest memories I have of watching the NBA were the Bulls destroying Shaq and Penny's Magic. 96 regular season, I think. I was a big Magic fan as a kid. I had a family that lived in Florida and I would visit sometimes. That was the first team I liked. Kazam came out that year. Shaq was my gateway to the NBA. The Magic is another underrated team and duo. Shaq has said several times that Penny was a lot like Kobe. They were a dangerous team and much better than most of the trash that LeBron played in the East. Even at 7 or 8 years old, it was easy to understand that games were basically on autopilot until Jordan took over. Shaq was my favorite player, and he was essentially just as dominant in the 90s as he was in the 2000s. But even Shaq would get this worried look on his face when Jordan started going for throats. And when Jordan started going for throats, he passed that energy on to Pippen and the rest of the Bulls. Shaq has spoken openly about how he and the rest of the NBA were basically afraid of Michael Jordan. Shaq, the most dominant physical force on the planet, openly admitted that he was afraid of another human being. I was a Kobe and Shaq fan for years. If you asked me in my 20s, I'd say with confidence that Shaq and Kobe were GOAT A and GOAT B. But while I worked this shit job at B-dubs in my 20s, living on OSU campus, playing pickup games after work and getting into rec league, I started going back and watching all these old Lakers playoff games. I would just lay on the floor with headphones and with my full attention watch as many playoff and final matches as I could find on YouTube. I didn't even want to watch games without Kareem because I was so thirsty. All of those Lakers games were very exciting to watch. The Lakers were an incredible team, which is why watching Michael Jordan rip them apart for the first time was so eye-opening. The Bulls were something different. Jordan was different. I started binging Jordan matches, interviews, regular season games, documentaries. That summer I became a Jordan historian. I studied him, copied as many moves as I could, learned how the triangle worked, got into massive debates and arguments with people. I lived in Columbus and LeBron was in Miami at the time. The GOAT debate was at its peak and people were pushing LeBron hard. He was the hometown hero. Akron is right between Cleveland and Columbus. I later worked at a popular bar and club on campus, so the conversation was never ending with people. This was difficult for me because I could tell people had no idea about Jordan really. Just highlights and the legendary stories about his run. Watching him play is different. Really analyzing him play is different. At the same time I'm binging Jordan games, LeBron is choking in Miami. But people are saying he's the GOAT? 1 ring? People really believed Miami would be a dynasty. But you could see LeBron's fourth quarter issues. It was very obvious. Michael's ability to take over a game was electric. And his first ring is without a doubt his most underrated. There are many false narratives surrounding the 91 Bulls championship run, 2 specifically that I want to touch on. 1, Pippen was the primary defender on Magic, and 2, that Lakers team was old. Not only did Jordan have to overcome the greatest defensive team in NBA history just to get to the finals, but Magic was still very much in his prime. A 29 or 30-year-old Magic was putting up career numbers. The Lakers had the 3rd most wins in the league and the most wins in the West. 20 points a game, whatever rebounds, and 15 assists. The core of that Lakers team had just won 3 rings in the past 6 years. Not only was it the same team, but they were making significant defensive adjustments with a new coach. The run and gun style of the 80s wasn't working anymore. Magic was one of those generational players that could evolve and adapt to the shifting tides of the league. They were a legit threat and a championship contender. Vegas had the Lakers in 7. Jordan was the difference maker in an otherwise fair matchup. Now, Pippen is one of the most underrated players in NBA history. The only question is whether or not he would have been as good without Jordan's aura pushing the team. Either way, he was arguably one of the best defensive players ever. Consistent half-court suffocating defense. He was on Magic a lot in that series. He played his part, but the truth is, Jordan was the primary defender on Magic Johnson. It didn't go to Game 7. Jordan was otherworldly in his performance. The mid-range game, attacking the rim, the defense. This is after years of dealing with the Jordan rules and running into all-time great teams in the East. Jordan did it the right way and led his team the right way. LeBron's first ring was a sad joke in comparison to the GOAT. LeBron spent most of his prime playing in the East. He showed a lot of potential in his early years at Cleveland, but as it is known, the East was weak. Not only did he embrace the comparisons to Jordan, but he had the audacity to wear his number. After failing to bring a ring to Cleveland, he left to form a literal super team in Miami. On paper, this team was so stacked that even LeBron himself declared they would get 8 rings. The only thing LeBron is prolific in is stat padding and putting on clown makeup. His time in Miami was subpar to say the least. He choked against a Mavericks team who were also well known for choking. He got humiliated by a Spurs team that was far less stacked. And he had his career saved by Ray Allen hitting one of the biggest clutch shots in NBA history. I hate to put down teams that got a ring like the Mavs, even LeBron, but these comparisons to Jordan are absurd. LeBron was nothing more than a disruption to Miami's system, and he made underrated players like Chris Bosh look bad. He tried to get the coach fired, created bad vibes in the locker room, aggressively cheated using PEDs, and left Miami with a 2-4 record. This is laughable compared to Jordan's first three-peat. That Mavericks team had no business beating Miami. It's either one of the most impressive championships in NBA history or one of the luckiest. Jason Terry terrorized LeBron. The amount of choking that happened that year is truly historic. Honestly, give the Mavs props for executing when the opportunity presented itself. After Jordan's first 2 rings, he was already hailed as the GOAT, the greatest single player to ever live, on one of the greatest teams ever assembled. The Bulls organization was on point from top to bottom. Jordan had nothing more to prove. Going back-to-back earned him the respect and prestige he was looking for. For LeBron, the only thing he could do to correct the clown show in Miami was go back to Cleveland and win them another ring. But as someone who grew up in Ohio on Ohio State campus, watching basketball, playing against college players in rec league, hitting the courts and having debates with people that actually know basketball, it was very clear that LeBron wasn't the driving force for that chip. Everyone knew it. Games would be on autopilot and Kyrie Irving was the one putting up the Jordan-esque performances in the fourth quarter. LeBron is at his most valuable when he has someone who can close. This shouldn't be a negative thing for LeBron. He did his job and they got a ring. But again, when compared to Jordan, who is the most prolific closer in NBA history, it doesn't really add up. LeBron was even trying to trade Kyrie for Chris Paul and Paul George. Unbelievable and despicable. I don't understand how anybody likes this guy. If you have such a high IQ, why would you trade Kyrie? Phil Jackson's philosophy of putting the ego aside was lost on him. You want to be Jordan so bad, but did you study what made him who he was? Team goes back to back and they start to fall apart. History has told this story over and over. When something truly legendary happens like Kobe and Shaq's three-peat, it doesn't really matter how it happened. They went above and beyond. Jordan's first three-peat was a result of winning war after war after war. Stacked Eastern teams in hard-fought battles, all of them going for his neck. The lion's share of the pressure because he was the difference maker. His mentality and aura carried them through the fire and flames. His career stats at that point were insane. He had 3 rings, he had just won against stacked teams that had the potential to stop him. He was clutch over and over and over. He played in a system that allowed him to make passes at the right time so players could do their part. When someone else hit a big shot on the Bulls, that was owed. When someone hits a big shot for LeBron, he got saved. That sounds messed up, but it's really the truth. Jordan was never choking in the fourth quarter and then got saved. His team flourished under his command. This argument is already over. It's been over. It was over when most of these LeBron stans were born. Every stat that matters, every advanced analytic, and every conceivable measurable metric, Jordan was the GOAT by the mid-90s. Stat padding career numbers are a sorry attempt at diminishing the legacy of the GOAT. Jordan went on to win another literal three-peat after already being the GOAT, playing against stone cold killers like Reggie Miller, Shaq, Karl Malone, John Stockton, players and teams that would have had rings if Jordan didn't exist. How do you beat the best when you are the best? Late in Jordan's career, there were huge stints where Pippen was out for months. Jordan still carried them to the playoffs. As good as he was in the playoffs, he was just as good in the regular season. He never turned it off. Even at 40 years old, when Jordan came back to play for the Wizards, he was, it was just icing on the cake. He had like back-to-back 40-point games, after a second retirement. I want to make a video explaining the truth about Jordan's Wizards comeback. There's a lot of misinformation and false narratives surrounding that. Let me know in the comments if that's something you'd like to see. It's difficult to write a script about Jordan. Not a lot hasn't been said, but I feel like I have somewhat of a unique perspective. There are very few of us that have actually gone back and watched all of Jordan's playoff runs, even less that saw him play when he played, even though I was young. I watched and analyzed basketball all through the 2000s and 2010s. I played basketball hard in my 20s, lots of hard-fought pickup games on OSU campus, lots of conversations with players and fans. There was a few summers where it seemed like every night we were on the courts playing with different people. This Jordan debate has gone on and on in my life. I will say this, I've never met somebody who I respect and can tell they know what they're talking about who would put LeBron anywhere near Jordan. Even the most die-hard LeBron supporters struggle to make arguments for the top 4. How do you put LeBron ahead of anyone who has led a three-peat team? LeBron didn't even play on the best teams in his era. Golden State and the Spurs were far better. Kobe's led Lakers went back-to-back without Shaq. That's another video I'd like to make. Kobe gets glossed over all the time. It's almost as laughable as comparing LeBron to Jordan. Just to put the final nail in the coffin, this whole video was off the top of my head, but I'd like to point out some stats that really do stick out. Couldn't remember them exactly off the top of my head, so, looked them up. I've seen people from Ohio try to make the argument that LeBron does have a mid-range game. I mean, if he showed up for a pickup game on OSU campus, I'm sure his bag would look crazy. But as I said, he is a 35% shooter outside of 3 feet, and he's a 33% three-point shooter. Here's a graphic showing his shot placements. Go watch a single playoff game at random from Michael Jordan and think about this graphic. Stop the cap. If someone thinks LeBron is top 4, I find they have a very hard time adjusting their views in the face of facts. If you have passionately come to this conclusion, it's probably because you don't know what you're talking about. When it comes to Jordan, it's not a matter of opinion. Jordan's peak was 10 years. He played all 82 games 9 times. LeBron went to the finals 9 times and won 3. That's 3 out of 9. People like to frame it as 3 and 6, which makes it sound better, but it's 9 finals appearances with 3 wins. Jordan is 6 for 6. Winning is winning. The playoff run only matters if you win. 72-0 is hollow if you can't close. Again, Jordan is the greatest closer to ever play the game. LeBron lost 4-1 several times and got swept twice. Didn't even belong in the finals because of how weak the East really was. The East was dominant in the 90s. Even the expansion teams ended up being competitive. All of them were gifted great players and had good picks in the draft. Not that it matters because Jordan's wars were against prolific competitive teams in the playoffs, but I digress. Steph Curry is a great 3-point shooter. KD is an offensive threat with a deep bag, but they never played lockdown defense like the Bulls. LeBron never played lockdown defense like the Bulls. The Bulls had 50% plus 3-point shooters. Jordan was 9-0 in championship situations, 1 in college, 2 Olympic gold medals, and 6 in the NBA. Let me tell you something. It literally took Shaq and Kobe to get 1 3-peat. Jordan did it twice. Jordan and Pippen. As much as I love Pippen, it wasn't Batman and Superman. It wasn't Goku and Vegeta. It wasn't anything like that. It was Batman and Holy Pepperoni Robin. As underrated as Pippen is, it ain't even close to having somebody like Kyrie Irving, who has one of the deepest offensive bags in NBA history. Kyrie would break LeBron's ankles and send him to the shadow realm in a 1v1. God only knows what those Cavs practice sessions looked like back in 2016. In conclusion, people don't really realize how good that Utah team actually was. Utah had to go through Houston and the Shaq and Kobe Lakers just to get to the finals. Just because Jordan beat them doesn't mean they weren't good. That team goes back to back. If Jordan doesn't exist, Karl Malone would have 2 rings and be one of the all-time scoring leaders in NBA history. Jordan's last 2 rings are insane. You already have 4. The organization is pulling the team apart. The East is stronger than ever with a bloodthirsty Reggie Miller pushing them to their limits. Teams fall apart under much less pressure. There will never be another player like Michael Jordan. Basketball as a game peaked while he played and he dominated it. All competitive games reach a point where it can't get any better. It can only be different. That's what we're seeing right now with Steph Curry. Spread the floor, force the ISO situations. Maybe one day we'll see a version of the NBA where every player has Steph's skill set. It's kind of trending in that direction. Physical conditioning advancements will have players going into their 50s. But it'll never be like what Jordan went through. The diversity of skill sets, the defense, the aura, the passion, the storylines. When players weren't getting brain rot from social media and everything that comes with that. That's all I got. Hopefully my fellow Jordan fans enjoyed the video. This is a big video for me. I'm not an NBA YouTuber. My channel has been all over the place for a while. I don't really know what I want to do. I could do some more NBA content. I have several other scripts in mind. I've been slowly writing this script for a long time and I wanted to make a Go debate video for years. If you did make it to the end, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Really like to get my channel some momentum. Maybe NBA content is the right direction. You know, the engagement on likes and comments really makes a huge difference. Thanks for watching. Okay, I wanted to make one more point about three-point shooting. Jordan once tied the record for the most three-point shots in an NBA Finals. Jordan was being compared to Clive Drexler at the time, except Clive was known as a better three-point shooter. Jordan was quoted saying, "I choose not to be a better three-point shooter." The 90s was a defense-heavy era, and having a tight mid-range game was simply more important, unlike today where there's less pressure on shooters. Michael Jordan tying the finals three-point record just because he felt slighted is more than enough to end that argument. Michael had catch-and-shoot snipers on his team already, guys like John Paxson and Steve Kerr who were just as good as catch-and-shoot guys today. LeBron is a garbage three-point shooter in an era of three-point shooting. Players are making 30 points a game look easy because of how spread the floor is, but taking over a finals game and dropping heavily defended threes at will, Michael could do it all, and it wasn't something he needed to focus on.